Capitalism is one name for the political economic system that has ruled our lives for several hundred years now. In a capitalist system, your worth is measured in money. Money determines your proximity to power, and so to what extent you're a victim or a beneficiary of power. Money governs what you're free to do. If you can afford servants or employees to do everything for you, you can spend your time however you want. If you have to work for others to survive, you might not be free to do anything except working, eating, and sleeping. Money is the principal token of virtue under capitalism. It makes people do your bidding and kiss your ass. Money is a deity we're all forced to worship. Friendship, community, kindness to strangers all take a back seat to making money, either because you're in the majority and you have to spend your waking time making money to survive, or because you're in that tiny minority that owns everything and more money means more power. How do people become part of that minority? To understand that, we need to understand how wealth is created. Somehow, somewhere along the line, we came to this conclusion that people amassed great wealth through their own hard work. A quick glance at history shows wealth comes from work, all right, but not the work of the person who owns the wealth. Wealth was originally created by subjugating people, enslaving them, and robbing them of the product of their labor. Usually this process of enslaving is accompanied by taking people's land and telling them if they want the product of it, like food, they need to work for a lord or king who owns everything now. If you get people to work much harder than they usually would, you can get them to grow or make or mine much more than they would usually use. You let them keep just enough to eat and build homes, and you take the surplus. If slavery gets abolished, that wealth doesn't necessarily disappear. If, like in the United States, former slave owners are allowed to keep their wealth, you might still inherit wealth created by enslaved people. You might use that wealth to buy more land, thereby taking it away from everyone else. You might use that wealth to attempt to re-enslave people, say through mass incarceration. You might invest that money in corporations that indirectly employ slaves to grow and mine and process the materials, sew the uniforms, and clean the offices. Basically, the most common way people get rich is by taking the surplus workers create. The more you have to pay your workers, the smaller your pile will be. You might only have employees rather than slaves, but don't worry, you might have a monopoly. So they still have to work for you whatever tiny wages you offer. You might even be able to fire them and replace them with computers. That's what it takes to win at capitalism. The runners-up are the people who get the best jobs. The rest of us are the losers. Many people think that if you lose at capitalism, you've failed at life itself. Therefore, you deserve your poverty. There are people who are forced to live in the street because nowhere else, none of the countless empty buildings is available for them to stay. They're regularly robbed and harassed and face the constant threat of violence and prison. Do those people deserve that life? They must not have the skills, or possibly the physical or mental capacity to hold down a steady job, which means they have nothing to contribute, so they deserve nothing. Or they got addicted to drugs, so they deserve to lose their home. Or maybe they don't deserve to lose their homes, but there's nothing we can do about it, and I certainly shouldn't have to pay a penny for them. That's how we're taught to rationalize living comfortable lives while we walk past people struggling to survive. No one deserves the endless suffering of a life of poverty. And poverty doesn't mean you've failed at life. After all, a life of labor and deprivation under capitalism does not represent all human life. Life is so much more than working and buying shit. It's about creating, building, teaching, helping, loving, laughing, singing, and playing. I think all living people should do those things. They should have the time to do those things. They shouldn't have to work all the time to be allowed to eat just to die of stress at 50. Nor should they be so motivated by the pursuit of money and power they neglect everything that makes life worth living. To be super rich is to have the money to help countless people and to choose every day not to do so. The problem is, we live under the rule of a system that exists to rob us. While it exists, most of us will live paycheck to paycheck while a few people accumulate more wealth than they could possibly ever use. Those people will succeed at capitalism or whatever this system turns into. Most of us will be losers our whole lives. And I'm okay with that. But I'd be even more okay with destroying this system. Then we'd all be winners. Well, except the billionaires. They'd probably get eaten. But I am looking forward to decommodifying their homes and yachts.